Good evening, Morgan Hawk alongside Jack Rader, former general manager of the Cedar Rapids Kernels, and we're here to honor George Spelius tonight, head of the Midwest League, and it's great that George is here tonight. And Jack, George has been around the league for a long time, and he's a very pivotal part of the Midwest League.
He certainly is. He's been around longer than I have, if that's possible. But I first got to know George in the early 80s. He came into the league as a director with the Beloit Ball Club, and I was the general manager in Wausau, Wisconsin at the time. Been a great guy from day one, but fast forward to 1991, I've moved to Cedar Rapids, and I'm the general manager with the Cedar Rapids Reds at that point in time. And George is now the president of the Midwest League. He left his position with Beloit as a director to take over presidency, and I think it was in the late 80s, probably 88, although don't quote me on the year. But one of my favorite stories about George is that year in 1991, we had the All-Star game in Cedar Rapids, and turned out that the game was tied in extra innings, and we ran out of pitching. And neither manager, neither manager wanted to play anymore. So I went up and told George in the stands, and George says, well, let's call it a tie. So George and I go out onto the field and make the announcement to the crowd that the game is over, it is a tie, and we got booed off the field. And I said, great call, George. And I'll never forget, he always said to me, he said, hey, we're probably the only two guys who've ever been booed off the field at an all-star game. So that's one of my favorite memories with George. Another one is that it's not a memory, but George would always call and say, what are you doing down there? And every time I heard that, it wasn't hello, how are you? It's just, what are you doing down there? I knew I'd either forgot to turn in the attendance report, or maybe we had a brawl the night before, or a rain delay or whatever. But you know, George was always strong and somewhat strict, but also very, very friendly. And you always, you know, he was one of those guys you always enjoyed hearing from.
He came into the league at a very pivotal time in the Midwest League and in minor league baseball.
He certainly did. I think he deserves so much credit, and he's done a tremendous job. The league will really miss George Spelius for his passion, his wit, humor, his guidance. When he took over this league, and I say this affectionately, but this league was still what I would call a mom and pop league. During George's tenure, it switched from a mom and pop league to a high-level business organization. And I'm here to tell you that some of those league meetings in that transformation were not easy. Some of the characters that George had to deal with in the 80s and even into the 90s, I sat in the back of the room and cowered in the corner while the meetings were going on, but George handled everything flawlessly, and he had the right personality and the right temperament. And look at it, I mean, you could argue the Midwest League is the best league in minor league sports. And a lot of that, the credit really does deserve to go to George Spelius.
Now, fans, please welcome Kernels Board President Gary Keppel.
Thanks, Josh. I'm up here in the Kernels suite up behind the stands, and I'm honored to be here with George Spelius, the retiring Midwest League president. And as you heard from Jack and Morgan, he's done some great things. One of the things I think that Bob Nance is up here knows very well is back quite a few years ago, the minor leagues were involved in antitrust hearings and everything in Washington, D.C., along with Major League Baseball. And George really came to the rescue of the smaller markets, of which Cedar Rapids is still one of those. So we thank him for that, but we'd also like to present him with a plaque tonight in special recognition of President George H. Spelius for 28 years of dedicated leadership, unending commitment, and spirited guidance as president of the Midwest League. We'll be forever grateful that your love and devotion to the game of baseball touched us all and made us better. From the Cedar Rapids Board, Cedar Rapids Ball Club directors, staff, players, and fans in 2014. To George, thanks for everything. We wish you the best in your retirement. We know you'll be at the ball games all the time, and we'd like to have you say a few words to the fans.
It's always a pleasure when I would come to this fine city. They worked hard from A going all the way up to Z, and this is what you'd find people here and the area have, great baseball. Jack, when he was up there, actually, he really messed that up. That's the reason, and he wanted to blame me. So this is my chance but I still love the guy. There have been so many people here I could name, and I'd forget somebody, but I really, really feel that I was very close with this franchise, and I enjoyed coming here all the time, and you people were just 100%. And I know I'm going to miss baseball, but I'm going to have a little time to, I have some grandchildren all the way down in Arizona. My wife and I want to spend some time down there as well, but I'll never forget the Midwest League, and I won't forget this franchise. Good luck for all the years you'll be in baseball. And I thank the club here for this nice plaque I have, and that's why I've got my glasses on. I got some tears coming down. But I love you people, and I'm going to be friends with you for a long, long time. Thank you very much, folks.